experiencing.
Hey, Nicholas, I think I can hear you a little bit, but
All right.
coming in very
Hi.
quiet.
Is that better?
A little better, but Zoom still hasn't picked you up yet on my screen.
Oh, okay.
Are you guys having trouble hearing Nicholas? Yeah, a little bit, they say.
Okay. What if I just talk louder?
Ah, there we go.
Okay. Hi, I'm the one expressing as Nicholas Carey. I don't actually have much time, to be honest. Just a few minutes.
Sure.
I've got something on, but okay. I'm going to kind of slightly answer my own question, then I'm going to leave it open to you because obviously. So, why am I procrastinating? And what came to mind when I asked myself that, well, I did a whole bunch of things on it, on just sort of brainstorming it afterwards. This was yesterday, but my mind went to the idea that of Till Swan talks about it, the YouTuber, the idea that the ego is kind of partly fragmented, a little bit like dissociative personality disorder or something, but not actually. But the idea that so there's the idea of the spiritual ego, and I've observed in myself there's the part of me growing up that was rewarded for doing work, and the idea that I'm not good enough, and if I get work done, then I'm worthy. And when I procrastinate, I feel guilty for not doing it. But at the same time, I procrastinate because I feel like I'm not worthy, and that I can cope with that and fill up that lack with pleasure and fun. But then so if I'm working, I might have part of me be like, okay, I'm not having enough free time. Another, if I'm playing, I'll be like, I'm not working enough. But then the spiritual ego criticizes both as, oh, that's just so unspiritual. I have all these spiritual truths that I understand, and I'm worthy because of these understandings. Like, and that's based on the idea of not having like worth and spirituality giving me worth. But then it's like, then there's the inner critic in the child. I'm just wondering how these things fit into the three core beliefs and the example of procrastination.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a great question because it also offers us a lot of opportunity for insight into the nature of the ego. This has come up a few times in these calls that we notice how ego argues with itself a lot. The different faces and versions of the ego argue with each other and fight for which one's going to win and get the action from the body, right? So you have this one version of ego that says, my happiness depends on having fun, playing video games, relaxing, drinking beer, whatever. Another one says, my happiness depends on the work I do and the accomplishments that I achieve. That's where my fulfillment comes from. And then another one is the spiritual ego that says, my happiness depends on being super spiritual and not having guilt. And shame on both of you for introducing guilt. So you have this chorus of egos arguing with each other. There it is. The ego isn't an entity. It's not one being with a personality and choices to be made. It's a collection of thoughts and ideas about who you are, and they're all fighting each other for supremacy. Like it's nobody. Does that make sense?
Right. It's a bunch of competing programming that isn't even me. And so, yeah, that explains why it's constantly, there's never enough work, there's never enough play, there's never enough spiritual knowledge, and there's never enough argument or criticism of each other aspects.
Yeah. This is also why you'll notice that when ego is very predominant in someone, or maybe a past version of yourself, or maybe a present version of yourself, you'll notice that it never lets you rest, because the moment that one part of the ego gets what it wants, like let's say I want to have fun, play video games, drink beer today. Let's say that idea wins out over the accomplishing work idea. And so you do that and the body acts that idea out, drinks beer, plays video games, relaxes. You'll notice that even in the act of relaxing, a voice is already kicking in saying, okay, well, better enjoy this while it lasts because you got to do work, man. You're procrastinating. And if you had chosen the work idea, the I want to just relax and have fun would have done the same thing to that one. Like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because the moment that one idea says, I've gotten what I wanted, I have completed myself, and it chills out, the other one says, all right, now it's my turn. You had your turn. Now it's my turn to be fulfilled. I want to do work because that's my happiness. And it just goes on and on and on. There's never any rest from the ego because it's not an entity that can rest. It's just a collection of thoughts and ideas. And depending on how much you've given life to those thoughts and ideas, they'll be that active in your mind. So this is why I love how simple the three beliefs makes it, is that we can get really nuanced with the mind and the ego. We can talk about personality disorders and the archetypes of spiritual ego and all this stuff. But why are you procrastinating? Because you think you're the doer.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I think I'll leave it at that because I haven't got much time. But thank you a lot for that.
We'll make sure that we upload this. You can watch the rest of the response.
Okay.
If you have to go, feel free. No worries. Last thing I wanted to touch on with the procrastination thing he was talking about. Why do we procrastinate? Because we think we're the doer who has to do the action. And so being the doer is extremely tiring and exhausting to the mind. It requires so much energy of us to believe that we're the doer in control of the gears of reality. I have to make things happen rather than actions just happen through me. Like when the divine power wants to move, it moves. When the divine power wants something, an urge arises. And then the body goes and fulfills that urge. Like I have no clue where it comes from, when it's going to come, how it happens, how the flow of life delivers it. None of it's in my control. And yet ego still has the arrogance to say, I'm the doer. I make the choices. In actuality, you're being lived, right? Life is living you, moving through you. Even if you were to say, all right, I'm not the doer. I'm going to sit on the couch and do nothing because I'm not the doer. Typically, that's the way ego hears non-doership. It's like, okay, see if you can do that. Like, see how long you can actually sit there and do nothing. Because what'll happen is you'll notice all these urges will start bubbling up in you. I got some emails to answer. I got to go to the bank. I got to do my chores. I got to this and that. I got to make food. I'm hungry. And that person will spur you to get your ass up and do something. Because actions are happening through you. Like no matter how bad you try to make the body do nothing, it will continue to do stuff because you're not the one doing it. The mind-body unit's doing it. Life is acting through the mind-body unit like a playwright acts through its characters. That's the recognition. It's total liberation. It's total acceptance of whatever arises in the moment as this is what life wants to deliver. As we talked with Becca, if you just allow life to give that response from insecurity or whatever, and you just witness it, then the intelligence can see it for what it is and go, oh, that's coming from old conditioning, not who I am, not a desired response. And it just rips out the rug from underneath it. Identification juices it up. I did that. That was my thought. So I have to keep thinking it. Makes sense. Yeah. So thank you, Nicholas, for that awesome question.